There we are.
Well done. Well
No,
done.
good. Thank you, Rosemary. We'd have missed it. Maybe Ram would have reminded me anyway. So, on a few weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago, we did verse one of the Ratana Sutta, the literally the jewel sutta. Um, I think are you're probably familiar with the phrase the Tiratana. In Sanskrit, it is Triratna, Ratna, Triratna, which is the a triple gem. And the same becomes in Pali, Tiratana. The Pali inserts that Tiratana. This also deals with the idea of the gems, and it is it deals as the sutta goes on with three gems, the standard three gems, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Here, um, it is actually slightly reminds me of the point that Ram just made about the Rudram. You see, the first one is to appease the anger. And the second, having appeased the anger of Rudra, then asking Rudra to give what you want. The background of this sutta is that there had been plague and pestilence around this area, and there was the belief that the local spirits had been angered. So this is intended to appease them and ask them to be kind. Um, so since neither of you were here for the first one, just quickly go through this one. Go through the first verse. Is Yani the Bhutani Samagatani Gummani va Yani va Antalike Sabbeva Bhuta Sumana Bhavantu Atopi Sakkacha Sunantu Bhasitam. So Yani Bhutani, whatever beings, Idha, here, Samagatani, are assembled. Some agata have together. Bhumaniva Yaniva Antalike, the terrestrial Yaniva and those who Antalike are in the in the sky. This Bhumani in it's the Sanskrit is Bhumi. You make a derivative noun or adjective bhumya. So bhumya means belonging to the bhumya, therefore terrestrial. And in Pali it becomes bhuma. And the bhuma is the standard word in Pali now for an earth spirit. So whatever beings are here, the earth spirits and also those who are in the sky, sabbeva bhuta sumana bhavantu. Sabbe eva bhuta. May all beings be sumana, happy, literally good-minded, meaning happy. Atupi sakkacha sunantu bhasitam. And then atopi sakkacha, Sanskrit satkritya means doing rightly, it would mean doing it properly. Sunantu bhasitam. In Sanskrit, it would be satkritya shrinvantu bhashitam. May you listen well to what is being said. Many people do not know how broad and wide. You see the bit that I've highlighted on screen. The bha, and then an extended root is in Sanskrit bhash. You have and it's a really interesting root here. The concept is light and then speech, because when within speech you are kind of putting out to make open what has been within you. So you get the bha, meaning light, abha amita buddhaka, the immeasurable light, and you get the root bhash, meaning speech. Now, the reason I'm saying that bhash is an extended root, because when you come into the other Indo-European languages, you get that same root bha on its own, meaning speech. And it came into Greek as pe, which we pronounce as in prophet, and then into Latin, profess. It's that fe, and fa in Greek and Latin. And from this same bha, the Latin word fabula, which we have as a fable, is from that same root. And equally, the word fame is fame, that which is spoken about much. And the word infamous doesn't just mean not famous. The word infamous means unfit to be spoken of, so horrible you don't even want to talk about it. So that's the meaning of infamous in that sense. All coming from this original bha, an extended root bhash. So look at this now in detail. Tasmahi bhuta nisameta sabbe Mittam karota manusia pajaya divacharatocha harantiye balim tasmahine rakata appamatta. Tasmahi, therefore. Actually, I put it here as an indeclinable. It's just the ablative form of tat, meaning that. So tat. Sanskrit ablative tasmat, Pali tasma, from that, literally from that, then it has the meaning of therefore. But if you look at our English word therefore, that actually means from that as well, out of that reason, for that reason. Therefore, Muta, O beings, Nisameta sabbe, listen all, listen well all. Mettam karota, literally make metta. We'd say show metta, show kindness. In Pali, it's literally make metta. Manusya pajaya, to humankind. This is the dative genitive form.
Sorry, sorry, James.
It's Ram.
For the nisameta, where is the root, or why is it listening or pay
Okay.
attention?
Occasionally, okay, what the root is clear enough. The root is sham, meaning to calm. Now, occasionally you get something that is just inexplicable. And it's mostly in Sanskrit and Pali, everything has got a good explanation for what it is. You might have to dig for it, but you can find a logical explanation there. I have puzzled over this, and I have not got an answer. And it's the same in Sanskrit. Nishamayati. It means listen well. How can a root that has the meaning of calming, shamatha, sham, mean to listen well? I'll just call it up for you. Oops, call up the wrong one. And just call it up in the in Manu Williams. Bear with me, calling right up. Mhm. Pictures. So if we look at Nisham, Nishamyati, to be extinguished. Okay, that's clear. So the root sham means to calm down, and also by logical extension, you can talk about something being extinguished, like talk about anger being extinguished, a fire being extinguished. Nisham, literally, to down calm. And then also to cool down. Now, the causative nishamayati, which also appears as nishamayati, meaning to, there's an active form, to calm something down. So far, so good. That's fully comprehensible from that root sham.
Mhm.
But then it also has the meaning to observe or to perceive or hear or learn. And it's the same in Pali. I'm looking at the Manu Williams Sanskrit dictionary. And I have puzzled over that, and I can't work out why it has that meaning. How could listening carefully to something be anything to do with calming? We occasionally have these puzzles. Fortunately, they're rare enough not to cause too much of a problem. And I come up just against a wall of failure to understand. And that's at that point where I just have to take the philosophical approach and say, I will simply have to be happy with our ignorance of it, be happy with not knowing. I regret that's the best I can give you on this one, Ram.
Okay.
I just
Okay. No,
do not
I
know.
quite naively thought ni separated and sameta. Sameta is grouped together, sabbe, everybody. So that's what I would have worked as. But
Ah, right,
yeah.
okay.
So
No, that you went off on a bit of a tangent there because it is the nisham in Sanskrit.
gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. So there it is. I'm afraid we just have to live with this this little bit of a mystery here. So it means listen well. Um, Sabbi metankuruta manusya pajaya. Um, this manusya, we have the Sanskrit manushya, Manu. We have the Manu Shastra, we have the laws of Manu. I mean, in among the Hindus, Manu is listed primordial man, almost like the Adam of the Hindus, the Manu, the primordial man. And as a derivative noun, Manushya is one of the race of Manu, therefore mankind. Looking at down here in my notes. Let me just enlarge it a bit to see it better. In fact, our English word man comes from that same root. So Manushya is somebody of the race of Manu, and that's Manusa in Pali. Sapa Deva Manusanam, the teacher of gods and men, we have in that Pali chant. Then you get the derivative adjective with vriddhi, with strengthening of the first vowel. So manushya is the adjectival form, meaning human. it's the adjective from that noun. So manushya is the noun, manushya is the derivative adjective, and that's the one that in Pali becomes manusya. So manusya paja, human progeny, therefore humankind. This word praja or paja, um, in Sanskrit it is praja. It's from our root jan, meaning to be born, from which we get our root, Genesis, generation. It's the same jan root that comes into both Greek and Latin as gen or gen. Praja means born forth, so specifically the progeny of particular parents, but by extension in Sanskrit it just means the race generally. So here it's the human race, humankind. So show metta, literally make metta, show metta towards humankind. Then this this second line, Divacharatocha harantiye balim tasmahine rakkata appamatta. It's kind of reminding these spirits who have been unkind and have allowed plague and pestilence to come upon the land, saying, hang on, we're performing our side of the bargain, you perform yours. Because the Manusya Paja, the humankind, ye, those who haranti bring balim, who bring offerings day and night. So hang on, you are being unkind to us. You are putting the plague upon us, but those very people who divacharatocha, haranti balim, who bring offerings by day and by night. Bali, same word in Sanskrit and in Pali. It's an offering, but specifically an offering that you will give to the earth spirits. Query, and I think the answer is probably yes. It's derived from the root from the word bala, meaning strength. So the belly may have the meaning of the offering of food by which these earth spirits can derive their strengths. In other words, the sustenance for the earth, a sustenance for the earth spirits. That's that I think is the likely. I mean, what, we know what the meaning is. It is these offerings to the spirits, but I think it has the underlying meaning of the sustenance for the spirits, that which gives them bala, the belly which gives them bala. The word bala, of course, is a very common word. It just means strength. It comes into Latin actually, but only in a negative form, as in to debilitate. So if you are debilitated, your strength is gone. So it appears that word does also appear in Latin, and debilis in Latin meaning weak. Tasmahine rakata appamatta. Again, it's the same tasma, therefore, ne tasmahi, and therefore, ne is just an alternative form of te, them, rakata appamata, protect them heedfully, without heedlessness. Several times we've I can't remember whether either of you or any of you were here when we dealt with this word in particular. This appamada, Sanskrit apramada, is an absolutely key concept in Buddhism. It's from the root mud, which mud is just is the meaning of it's the idea of joy and then but then exuberance and pramada is just this getting carried away with the exuberance of your mind, either with wanting, but also it can equally apply to aversion. And apramada is basically the it's not exactly the opposite of sati mindfulness, but it certainly is a consequence of loss of sati. The idea of getting carried away. So this root mad is likely cognate actually with our English word mad, but it's mad in the sense of losing your balance of mind. Whoopee, rushing forth after what you want. Or equally, it can be, fighting with aversion against what you don't like. That's the, and sometimes appamada or non-pramada is translated as heedlessness, but that's one of those translations that's okay as far as it goes, but just doesn't really catch the full breadth of the meaning. In the five precepts, the last precept, Suma Merya Majja Pamada Thana Veramani Sikapadang Samadhiyami. It's where you undertake to observe the training rule for the avoidance of the various types of alcohol, this intoxicant Sura Merya Majja, because they are the Pamada Thana. In Sanskrit would be the pramada sthana, the occasion for pramada, because they cause pramada, they cause heedlessness, the loss of mindfulness. And this rakata, of course, it's the Sanskrit rakshata, it would be.
So, are there other variants for pramada? Because pramada is commonly used word, which also means fantastic, wonderful, fantastic, this sort of uh, meaning. So, not necessarily heedless. Heedlessness is the last thing that
Oh,
comes to mind when you hear it. Yeah.
no.
So
So
I'm
it,
surprised to see appamadata, the negative of heedlessness is the nice thing. Yeah, so I would expect pramada's negative should be something boring or unremarkable or something like that. But yeah,
that's really interesting. So in
yeah,
what context, Ram, do
yeah.
you see this? Tell me more
Wh-
about the meaning of
When, when
pramada.
when somebody performs, let's say, and it's exemplary in a stage performance of whatnot,
Yes,
or
yeah.
or or whatever is exceptional, then one of the exclamatory remarks that you would pass on is pramada or pramada. Yeah, so it's attributable to somebody's exceptional performance in something. You could try it out in the Sanskrit class as well. I'm sure this is something very commonly comes through is in North and in South India. It's a very common thing,
Is
but
does
but
it,
never as heedlessness, never as heedlessness.
how interesting. I'm just going to check this up. We're in Moni Williams. I've never heard that usage of it. This is really interesting, but I can kind of see why.
Even if somebody has cooked something and if the dish is really
Hmm.
tasty, then you would pass on this remark, something like this.
Ah, okay. Let me just now. Okay. Here we are. Called it pramada. So the basic meaning is intoxication. Hmm? And then madness, insanity, negligence, carelessness. Hmm?
Oh wow, it has evolved then.
So these are the original meanings. And this really interesting usage that you've just mentioned there, Ram.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering whether this almost reflects how in English we can talk about things being insane and wicked. I mean,
Exactly.
when I was little, we didn't use those words insane and wicked in that way. But nowadays, the youngsters talk about something being insane and wicked, meaning it's
Or sick.
wonderful. Uh, well, sorry,
Sick. Sick is the same. Insane, wicked,
sick.
sick. Sick, yeah.
Goodness, that is
It's
a
not
new
if
one on me right now.
if something,
And
I mean, you need to have a teenage son to know all this, I guess.
me too. In fact, I remember when some years ago, one of my teenage son, young in early teens, I'd done some piece of woodwork, for him. I took some care over it, and I thought it worked out quite well. And he said, "Dad, that's insane." I thought, I thought it was rather good and very well worked out. And I just hadn't realized what he meant. Then it dawned on me. He was like saying pramada. So I think it's a word that's almost stood on its head here. And also, I'm now, it's probably a little bit more rational in that Sanskrit meaning that you meant because it is so wonderful that it leads to a delightful intoxication. You kind of lose
Yes.
yourself in the wondrousness and delight of it all.
Hmm. Yes. It's a metaphorical intoxication here, looks like, yeah.
Exactly so. So I can well, I mean, it's really interesting that you say that. In fact, that's so interesting. When on future occasions, when I discuss this word, I shall remember and use the example that you have just given me, Ram. That's really, really good. I'm glad you did that. So rakata, and it's the well-known Sanskrit raksh, rakshati to protect. Raksha is protection. It can be used with the verbal prefix a, so arakshati with much the same meaning. And we have this, the same has come into English via Greek in the name Alexander, because Raksh or Araksh comes into Greek as Alex, and Alexander means protector of men. That's the mean protector of his people is the meaning of the word Alexander. So it's that same root there.
I'm sorry, but Raksha and Araksha, would it not make a negative of it?
No, so this is with the verbal prefix still on a, as in
Ah,
gum, agam. Sure, yes, you're right, but it's still on a.
okay.
But the most common form is just the root on its own, like this rakata, which in Sanskrit would be rakshata. Um, I just want to call out one grammatical point here. Let me what am I trying to do? Just calling up my iPad on the shared screen to do. Here we are. Those with a keen eye for grammar, and particularly those who've studied Sanskrit. Uh-oh, there's something. Trouble with my. Here we are. Um, This is something that has puzzled some students of Sanskrit who think it's a misprint on my part when I've written it. If we get take the most common verb, bhava, bhavati, it makes its imperative singular form just bhava. Um, you are in the plural is bhavata, bhavata with a ta in both Sanskrit and Pali. The imperative form, a trap for the unwary, in Sanskrit, the imperative plural be is bhavata without the non-aspirate, just the bhavata, whereas Pali has the same form for the indicative and the imperative. Sometimes I sign off my emails. May you be happy. To the Pali class, I sign them off like that, Sukhita Bhavata, because that's the imperative plural in Pali. In Sanskrit, I would sign it off Sukhita Bhavata, the imperative in Sanskrit. If in Sanskrit you were saying Sukhita Bhavata with the aspirated ta, that would be in fact be a statement, you are happy, which may or may not be true, but this is the imperative form. So remember, the Pali has ta in the imperative plural, the Sanskrit just has the ta, but they both have ta in the Sanskrit and Pali both have ta in the in indicative form. It's just one of those niggling little things you've got to learn. If you put this is clearly intended here, rakata, as an imperative. Protect them heedfully without pramada. If this were in Sanskrit, it would be raksha, but just with a ta, not a tha, would be rakshata. Rakshata in Sanskrit would be an indicative, you are protecting, but the imperative, protect, rakshata. In Pali, they have the same form, and you just have to tell by context whether it's the indicative or the imperative. So we could have a recitation of this verse. Rosemary, do you feel inclined to recite this verse? You're still muted, Rosemary.
I'm so out of practice, I feel mute. I'm sure that Ram would be much better at it than I am.
I'm never going to compel anybody to. Okay, so Ram, do you feel you can even chant it in whichever way you like, or just recite
Okay.
as in prose.
तस्मा हि भूतानि सामेत सभ्ये मेतं करोत मानुषीयापजाय दीवाचरथो च हरन्ति ये बलिं तस्मा हि नेरक्षत अपमथा.
That was very lovely. So, were you using a particular form of chant or tune there?
Actually, I heard this rendition from Mumbai's Pali University students in YouTube. It's really beautiful. I'll send the link as well. It's for the Ratana Sutta. They had the precursor of the story on why the chant was there, etc. And then they go about chanting. It's absolutely beautiful. This one. Yeah.
Oh, okay, right. So which country were these chanters from?
Bombay, yeah, Mumbai Pali University. Yeah,
Is that right? The
yeah, yeah.
Bombay. Ah, okay, right. Okay.
That was
Um,
really lovely.
it was very good
Thank
indeed.
you.
Can you can you just
Yeah,
do these last two words of the first line again? I was
yeah.
interested in your pronunciation of them.
Manusya Pajai.
How did you pronounce that very last vowel sound?
Pajai.
Jaya. Okay, because the first time you pronounced it, it sounded very singular-like with a very short at the end. The
Okay.
second time it almost disappeared, the way the Hindi speakers or the Marathi speakers might pronounce it. And the third time round, it sounded more like the Northern Indian style Sanskrit. So your good self, Ram, as a native Tamil speaker.
Yes.
In fact, it honestly doesn't matter how you pronounce. You're going to hear all the different pronunciations of it, and and even within our Samatha organization, we sometimes pronounce things in a slightly different way depending on which tradition, whether Thai or Cambodian or Sinhala, we've heard these chants from. Um, don't, and I'm sure you won't anyway. Don't let anyone tell you that one is more right than the other. Any more than I would dare tell a Scotsman that he's not pronouncing English properly. You know, okay, all equally valid, all equally valid. Okay, and so we can then move on to the next one. Are there any comments or queries about this? One thing on this Divacharatocha, in, so to speak, pure Pali, you probably said you see something like Divancharatincha or Ratindivam. In later Pali, and this is from later Pali, you do see certain Sanskritisms coming in. Diva, in fact, is a form of the Vedic instrumental. You see, in Vedic, you have diva, meaning a day, and you have two forms. Thank you, Ram. I've just seen your message there. In Vedic, you have two forms of the instrumental, divena or diva. Both are allowed. In classical Sanskrit, for nouns ending in a short a, it's only the ena form. But in Vedic, you can have diva as well as an in instrumental form, and you occasionally get these kind of old Vedic forms turning up in Pali, and it sits outside the normal framework of Pali grammar. It's just an odd survival, which just exists there in the language like a fossilized form. You occasionally have them in English as well, these ancient fossilized forms. Did you realize that when we say a phrase like in the olden days, we're actually using an old dative plural, an old Anglo-Saxon dative plural? And we are. The N form, that N there, is an Anglo-Saxon dative plural. In modern German, you say in den alten Tagen, dative plural EEEN. Of course, we've entirely lost it in English, but in just these fossilized survivals from ancient times, that's what gives us the form in the olden days. You occasionally see the same kind of thing in Pali, because just something's got stuck in the language unchanged from a very, very ancient form. And ratto, again, that's a Sanskritism. You say rattiya normally in Pali, but ratto is from the Sanskrit locative form, which would be ratrau in Sanskrit, which then becomes ratto. So diva ratto are both kind of survivals from either Vedic in the case of Diva and survivals from an older form of the language in Pali. So we can.
Sorry, you said Dia and Diva are interchangeable here. Is that what you started a bit earlier for Diva?
Okay, right. Let me just explain. Let me call up the iPad. We have the word Diva, which is both a Vedic word and come into Pali meaning a day. In fact, it's the same word that comes into Latin as dies, meaning a day. And the instrumental form, the normal instrumental form from these nouns and adjectives in short a is ena, divena, instrumental form. However, in Vedic, there was an alternative instrumental, diva. So by day, during the daytime. Both forms can exist in Vedic, Divena and Diva. Once you come to classical Sanskrit, post-Panini, essentially, very broadly speaking, the only permissible form is Divena, but this old Vedic form, Diva, which has fallen out of use in classical Sanskrit, but this is just a survival in Pali, a survival of a Vedic form, which is what reminded me of our fossilized survival of our dative plural in phrases, a phrase like in the olden days.
Yeah.
So
oh, you mean the old en, like and then alten tagen in German?
That's right. Yes, that's correct.
But here in this diva, divena, what is the root for this? Is there a D as a root? Di?
Div. The root is
okay.
div.
Okay.
And it's this same root from which we get deva.
Right.
The root, the basic meaning of that root is to be bright or to shine.
Okay.
So the diva is the brightness the light as opposed to the dark, the day as opposed to night.
Okay.
And the deva is which we translate, either we don't translate, just use the Sanskrit word. Is the word that we commonly translate as gods.
Okay. I was thinking because there is also a DIYA, dia. That's why I was thinking maybe DI is the root. This is also light and lamp and things.
That's right. Let me just call it up in Mary Williams. Yeah. Okay, it's okay. In fact, there are several different roots with different meanings. One is to the lament, and the other is playing with the dice. Then we've got this dew, the heaven and the sky, and the day and the brightness from that same root is deva, a god, a shining being. And it's that same word, the same word deva that we all know, in Latin as deus. And in Greek as Zeus, Zeus. So it's all from that same root. These the shining beings. Um, what's the text? No, where has it gone? There we are. So what we'll do then, we'll take a break of 15 minutes because we're just on the hour now, or a few seconds away from the hour, and we will resume at just before 8:15 and do our next verse. Okay, see you in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. See you then.
See
Okay. So we look now at verse 3. Yang kinchivitang idhava hurang va sagge suva yang ratanam panitang nanu samang atti tathagatena idam pibuddhe ratanam panitang. You may have noted, I can't remember whether I've discussed this before with the group as now constituted. This anuswara, the final M with a dot under it. In Sanskrit, it would have been certainly when at the end of a word group, it would just be an ordinary M, panitam, it would be. And for my own part, I feel virtually certain that in the language that the Buddha spoke, it would almost certainly have been pronounced in that same way, in the same way as is done in the Vedas and by Sanskrit speakers now. When you hear people chanting, it would be chanted as Ratanam, Pranitam, with a full M sound, the same that you do in Tamil, the proper sound. In Sri Lanka, it's sometimes this anuswara, this final subdotted M, comes out as an sound, and the Thai is almost always pronounced as an sound. So I've in certain company, I've kind of felt compelled to move over towards the panitang, yang ratanam panitang. But I do that just out of deference to how many people do chant Pali in that way, particularly Sri Lankans and Thais. So when I've got my kind of Samatha chanting hat on, it comes out as an sound. When I've got my kind of academic Indian linguistics hat on, it comes out as an sound, which is probably more accurate, or rather, let's say more accurate, closer to how the Buddha is likely to have said it, and closer to how modern Indians, as opposed to Sri Lankans and Thais, would pronounce it. It's not worth fretting about it. I just mention it for what it's worth. You'll hear people from different countries, Buddhists from different countries, pronouncing it in different ways. It doesn't in any way affect the meaning. Just take this as a regional variation of it. But because the influence of the Sri Lankans and the Thais is so prominent and great, you have to kind of acknowledge their presence, as it were, and acknowledge that this is the way they do it. So,
And I think it has come one full circle, James, because the video I sent earlier, this one is, of course, it has no Sri Lankan or Thai connection. It's fully in Mumbai, but the influence is felt, and because it's a Pali chant, they are pronouncing it as NG, the ung, all the thumbs.
is that right? So,
Yeah,
what would be the origin, the linguistic origin of the people who are doing that chant, Ram?
these are Maharashtrians. These are Maharashtrians, and then this is core Hindi, Maharashtrian, Sanskrit based people that are chanting, and then they do the like we do in Samatha. That was a bit surprising, but it seems like it's come one full circle.
No, I'm really interested to hear that. I would not, if you had asked me, if you hadn't told me that,
Yeah.
and somebody had asked me how would a Marathi speaker pronounce that, I would have pronounced it was an but I'm very interested to hear. So yeah, it
Yeah.
seems then that the influence of the Sri Lankans and the Thais, because of their great influence,
Over Pali as such, because the same people when they finish the chant and go, they would just say panitam maybe, yeah. But when it's
okay,
the
yeah.
difference to it, I guess, yeah.
Actually, that's made me slightly. I always had this slightly uneasy feeling about pronouncing it as an but thank you for that, Ram. You've made me feel slightly less uneasy about it now. That's very interesting and helpful there. So, and also another point is you see here you have the word vitang. I can pronounce it now in the Pali vitang. Then idha. And you see I've written it in the Devanagari there with the anuswara dot above the vitang, followed by a vowel idha. Now, in this way of writing it would be impossible and against the rules in Sanskrit, because you've got the word the vittam followed by the next word beginning with a vowel. That would be a full consonantal M and would so be written if you were writing this in Sanskrit in the vitamidha, a full vitamidha, it would be written. So this way, this anuswara followed by a vowel, I say, would just be impossible in Sanskrit. You will find in Pali sometimes in the way you get a word ending in an anuswara followed by a vowel, sometimes you will find it vitamidham. Sometimes you will find it done like that. In Pali, you have the option either to make it an anuswara vitang idha or vitamidha. You have the option in Pali. And it's a rather convenient option for those who are composing poetry, because it means that you have the option to have that syllable long or short. If it was vitamidha, it's with amidha, but with the anuswara, it's always long. So it would come out as Vitang Idha, dum dum da da, rather than Vitang da da da. I'm just saying, but if we come across one where it's done with a regular M, I'll point it out. I don't see one in this verse. But just bear in mind that in Pali, either is allowable, but when it's written as the anuswara, it's written like that for metrical purposes, and the anuswara is always a long, not a long vowel because the vowel is short, but the syllable is heavy. So vitang ita, vitang ita, which of course becomes rather vitally important when you're chanting, because if you chant it short when it should be long, you get one syllable out of step with everyone else. So the vitta, yang kimchi, whatever vitta, whatever treasure, and it's something that is basically means something that has been found, like the treasure trove, trouvé, meaning found. I've done a note on it in the explanatory glossary, which I'll call up. Oops, where are we? Yeah, the vitta. It's the past participle of vid. But with this vid, which we know basically means to know, but it also has the meaning of find, in which case it makes its present tense as in vindati. So we've got this same root, meaning to see or to know, and then to find. Both of these forms and meanings turn up in modern English, because vid, in the sense of to know, turns up in our modern English wit, which is wit, wise. And if you do something unwittingly, you do it unknowingly. And that's exactly that same root, vid. And the vindati turns up in English as find. So vindati in Sanskrit and Pali and find are the same word. So vitta means either something that has been found or a person who has found, and then by extension, an acquisition, and then by further extension, treasure. So vitta means from the root meaning something that is found, and a treasure, something valuable that has been found.
Is that also non-materialistic, like with coming, also giving rise to vidya, like knowledge?
It's that same word, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So what happens is, let me just turn up the. So from our root vid, one of the ways of forming a verbal noun is to add ya to the root, and this gives us the vidya, and we'll know now word for ignorance. Sorry, vidya, avidya, which gives us the well-known Pali. Avidya in Sanskrit, avidya with a double J in Pali. Which are well-known word meaning ignorance, literally non-seeing, non-knowing, therefore ignorance. And also another more common way of forming a verbal noun from a root in E is just to lengthen the E to A. So another word for knowledge is from that root is Veda. So the original meaning of the word Veda just means knowledge. And kind of knowledge and seeing rolled into one. Incidentally, the word it retains the meaning of knowledge, for example, in Ayurveda, literally life knowledge, life science, is the literal meaning of Ayurveda. So yang kimchi vitang, whatever, let's say, treasure, idhava hurangva. The words idha and hurang often go together in contrast. I mean, idha, the basic meaning of idha means here. In fact, it's cognate with our English word hither. Idha, hither. Etymologically, the same word. Hurang is a word meaning kind of beyond, here or not here, here or remote from here. When you have them together, idhava hurangva, you commonly find those put together in contrast, meaning in this life and the next, in the human life or in the life hereafter. So idhava hurangva will usually it can be translated as something like here or in the hereafter. Sagesuva, or in the heavens. Yang ratanang panitang, whatever exquisite jewel. The sagga, there's quite an interesting word. It is swarga in Sanskrit. Let me just give you iPad for a moment. Hang on. I need to do too many things at the same time. So Pali sagga is from the Sanskrit swarga. It's from a root swah uswar, meaning bright. So the bright, literally the bright going, the gut meaning going, the bright going. So the place of brightness to which you go afterwards. Therefore, that gives us the meaning of heaven. Let me just turn it up in the explanatory glossary. Here we are. Yes. So it's the Vedic swar or suvar is from the same root as sur, from which we get surya, meaning the sun. And from that same root, we get the Latin word sol, meaning sun. That the bright light in the sky. So it's from that soil root, Proto-Indo-European root. So
Also,
swarga,
Suvarna is gold.
that's actually from a different letter, is Suvarna.
Yeah.
So Varna meaning color.
Right.
That is Suvarna, that which has a beautiful color.
Okay.
So you've heard of serendipity. Yeah, just the magical ability to find just what you want at the right time. That is from a fairy tale called The Princes of Serendip. So these princes of Serendip had this wonderful knack, you see, of finding just what they needed at the right time. Serendip is a corruption of one of the old words for Sri Lanka, which is Suvarnadwipa, the Golden Island. So you get Suvarnadwipa, then became in one of in the form of a variant of Sinhala, Serendip. So our serendipity goes back to Suvarnadwipa, the Golden Isle. just do love plunging into all these weird etymologies. You turn up so much fun stuff.
That's really lovely.
A lot of serendipity in there. Um, it also just brings home to us more and more how here we are now speaking English, a language that without knowing more, you'd think is just totally remote from these ancient languages of India, the Sanskrit and the Pali. And yet there we are, so many of the words that we're using now can be directly traced back to the common ancestor.
Sorry, what was the name you said of the one that came from Serendipity to Sri Lanka? How is that linked again, please?
That was Serendip. And let me just yeah.
Serendip. Okay.
Serendip, from which was then the fairy story. In it, I can't remember who did the translation now, but the fairy story is just called The Princes of Serendip.
Uh-huh.
And Serendip is just a colloquial variant of Suvarnadvipa. Suvarnadvipa, the Golden Island. Oh.
Right.
Mm.
Right. Because Suvarna Bhumi is also Thailand, isn't it?
Suvarnabhumi.
Yeah, I think it's also the name of the airport is also Suvarnabhumi Airport in Thailand, in Bangkok.
Ah, goodness me. Yeah, I remember seeing something about that years ago. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, so the Suvarnabhumi would just mean
Yeah,
the golden
Golden Land.
the golden
Land.
land. Of
Yeah.
course, yeah. That's the Suvarna. So is the you say the airport still bears that name, does it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Suvarnabhumi Airport is airport in Bangkok, I think.
Ah, Suvarnabhumi. Okay. Ah, nice one.
And yet the route is different. It's Suvarna, and here it's Sur, isn't it? Suvarga's route is different, isn't it?
Yeah, so it is just coincidentally there's a slight similarity between the words, but in fact
Yes.
go back to Sanskrit. This is Swarga and Suvarna, which are completely separate words.
Yeah, beautiful.
So where are we? Here we are. There's some Benita. Benita is generally used to mean exquisite, that which is of the very best. It is pranita in Sanskrit. And again, this is a word with an interesting derivation. It's often used, you'll often find it used in Pali to mean that which is best or excellent of something, but it does actually have a homely meaning. It's from the root ni, meaning to lead. For example, from ni, also from that root ni to lead, you get nayaka, which means a leader. We had the former president of Sri Lanka, Bandaranayake, which literally is the monkey leader, because from the story, the Ramayana story, the Bandaranayaka. It makes one of the verbal nouns it makes is naya, meaning leading, from which we get the vinaya, the monastic code of the monks. Vinaya literally means leading away. And the reason that is the monastic code is called that, either because it guides you away from wrongdoing or keeps wrongdoing away from you. The idea is to keep you clear of wrongdoing. It is the vinaya, the leading away. Now, if you get, it makes a past participle regularly, nita, which means led. If you put the pra in front of it, pranita, then subdotted in there. So pranita, that which is brought out, that which is led forward, was the original meaning. And it came to mean in the correct treatment of guests, the atithi, because within the Hindu tradition, the guest is to be treated as a visit from God and given divine status. So you bring out for your guest the best that you have. So the pranita, that which you bring forth for your guest, that is the very best of what you have, is pranita, is brought forth. So that was the original meaning, the very best that you have, that you present to your guests. And then by general extension in Pali, it just means exquisite, the very best of something.
And sorry, what happens if you put V in front instead for Vinaya?
The V. The V is a prefix. It's the separative prefix, meaning apart from, away.
Apart
It's
from.
yeah,
Okay.
it's the separative prefix.
So Naya is to lead. If you put V in front,
If you
how
put
does the meaning?
V, it means leading away or guiding away.
I see. Okay.
Also keeping away. So the Vinaya, it leads you clear of wrongdoing or keeps wrongdoing away from you. The idea of leading away, protecting you, either leading you away from wrongdoing or leading wrongdoing away from you. Um,
Right.
this. Do you know the origin of the prefix vi? Do you know the origin of the prefix vi? No, okay. It's originally dwi, meaning two. There's dwa and combining form dwi, meaning two, as in the number two. And it keeps that form dwa and dwi in Sanskrit and Pali, meaning two. And it's the same word that comes into English as two, still written with the w there, but the way isn't pronounced, of course. And in Latin, it comes as duo, duo, and from which you get the word dual and so on. A very interesting phenomenon occurred, and when you understand this phenomenon, you will understand this very powerful prefix, what we call the separative prefix vi. In Sanskrit and Pali, to make the prefix with the idea of separation, vihara, vigata, vinaya, vimukti, vimoksha. I mean, there's so many vi prefixes, the idea of splitting into splitting. Originally, it was dwi, so it had the idea of splitting in two, a splitting. What was one becomes two, splitting. But as a prefix, the D dropped out in Sanskrit. So it just becomes V. Similarly, in Latin, when it became a prefix, the word dropped out. And it became di, or dis. So English via Latin is full of these prefixes di, dis, the idea of undoing, separating, negating, and it's exactly the same as the Sanskrit and Pali prefix vi. So gressus is a step. To digress is to step away. To converge, to diverge. I mean, there are so gustus is taste, something disgusting, something that revolts the taste. I mean, there are thousands of words in English that, but if you understand that the force of these three prefixes here in English, negating, separating, undoing, contrary. The V in Sanskrit and Pali has that exact same meaning, and from exactly the same origin, the idea of splitting in two. And so what we call a very productive prefix as well. In other words, you can just go on and on and on making new words. You can even debug a computer, remove the bugs from it.
So by the same explanation, then going back to Vinaya, Naya is to lead, to split
Yes.
the lead, or how does it work?
It's the idea here, it's the meaning of away, separating, as in divergence, digression, the idea of separating.
I see.
Okay. Splitting things apart.
Okay.
So you got, for example, if you are in the Karane Metta Sutta, if you are Vigata Midho, your Midha is your drowsiness. Vigata just means gone away. Means you are now free of drowsiness. Your drowsiness is vigata, gone away.
Gata is itself going away. So putting a V is making gata is to go,
gone.
Isn't it? So
that's right. Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
So just away. Okay.
So vigata, away, gone, die, gone, 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 not just gone away, separated from you. So this is just our root gum, which you would have expected to see gan plus ta. You'd have expected to see ganta as the root, but in fact, what happens is the n drops out, and that's how we get gata, just meaning gone. So, I just want to. I did make a note in the written text I did to. So young Kinchi, there's the translation also by Bhikkhu Bodhi, by the way, that I've referenced in the Pali Text Society edition of the Sutta Nipata. This is the translation by Bhikkhu Bodhi. It's part of the Sutta Nipata, this chant. So I just refer you to the Bhikkhu Bodhi translation. Not that you need translations after studying the analysis, but Bhikkhu Bodhi is my great hero of Pali. I mean, he's such a profound scholar. So although no translation ever completely cuts it, of all the translations you can get, Bhikkhu Bodhi almost invariably turns out to be the most reliable. So he says that whatever treasure exists here or beyond, yang kinchivitang idhava hurangva, either here or beyond, sagesuva yang ratanang panitang, or whatever sublime gem is in the heavens, sagesu, swargeshu it would be in Sanskrit. Natino samang tathagatena. So that is nano samamakti tathagat. No, not for us. Samang, the same, equal. Atti is tathagatena. So It is saying that whatever most sublime, exquisite gem, sublime treasure can be found in earth or in heaven, for us, that does not equal the Tathagata. This sama is one of those words that's survived virtually intact from Sanskrit and Pali through into English. It means the same. So it is that same word that has survived, almost unchanged. So it is not for us the same, Tathagatena. In Pali, if you're saying it's not the same as something, in Pali you have summon plus instrumental, summon Tathagatena, the same as or equal to the Tathagata. Idampi, this too is the idampi buddhe ratanam panitang. This too is the exquisite jewel in the Buddha, literally. Bhikkhu Bodhi translated, this too is the sublime gem in the Buddha. Etena satchena suvatti hutu. Literally, by this truth, hutu, may there be well-being. A point I think you've all got, but wherever in Sanskrit and Pali, for the third person singular and plural indicative, you get the ending ti and anti, bhavati, bhavanti. You can make an imperative form expressing a wish by changing it bhavatu, bhavantu. So hoti, there is, hutu, may there be. It's a very common way of expressing a wish. It's strictly speaking the third person imperative form. We have it in our standard Samatha blessing, bhavatu sabba mangalang rakhantu sabba devata, bhavatu, may there be, sabba mangalang, all blessing, rakhantu sabba devata, may all the devas protect. This hotu form, by the way, it doesn't exist in Sanskrit. It's a softened and a colloquially abbreviated form of bhavati. So, for example, let me just show you it in. Here we are. So, we are a most common verb, bhavati, which is the same in Sanskrit and Pali, bhavati. There is an alternative shortened form in Pali, which is hoti. It's the same word essentially and from the same origin, but hoti is just a softened, shortened, like colloquially shortened form of bhavati. It's that same ho that has turned up then in modern Hindi as hona, ho, and so on, hai, hoti, hai, and the root hona, to be. So as I say, this hoti, you will find it in Pali, but not in Sanskrit. Pali will take equally either form, bhavati hoti, Sanskrit bhavati only. The shortened hoti form doesn't exist. So the hoti then to hutu, that expresses a wish, may there be. Suvatti, in Pali, you also find the form sutti. Sutti and suvatti, both forms exist in Pali. It's the same as the Sanskrit swasti, meaning well-being. Again, an interesting word. And we had in the chant, Sada Suti Bhavantute, for example, the Suti. It's the Su plus As. The root As meaning to be. Um, and you can make a verbal noun out of it, Suasti, meaning well-being. Suasti. That's the prefix su, meaning beautiful, good. Asti. We can take that either as the verb form asti, it is, or as a noun made from the verb ast plus ti. So in Thai, for example, the greeting is sawatti in Thai, which is actually the Thai pronunciation of the Sanskrit swasti. Swati. In certainly in ancient India, whether it still happens now, I don't know. Maybe you could help us on this, Ram. So you have this swasti, meaning well-being, and in certain ceremonies, you had a Brahmin who would come and give his swasti blessings, and he was called the well-being man. He was the swastika, the person who would give the swasti. And originally that word meant the person who would give the blessings, typically a Brahmin priest who would come to give do a ceremony in the family. For example, in a birth or a marriage, something like that, he would come to pronounce the blessings. So originally meaning the person who did it, it then came to mean just the mark or the sign of well-being. And it was the same, and sometimes you still see it on temples, the right-handed one. You still see this sign called the swastika.
And it's probably from there is where astika came, the one that is on the side of the god, opposite to nastika, who's the non-believer in God.
Oh, yes. So the astika would mean one who says yes, astika, one who says yes, it exists. That would be
Yes.
the theist rather than the atheist. And the nastika would be the one who says it doesn't exist.
Yes. Yes.
Now, by a most wicked piece of cultural appropriation in 1930s Germany, the sign, because the Germans did it the other way around. This one, by the way, is how you see it in Hindu and Buddhist architecture. The Germans inverted it. The Nazis inverted it. But here we have it. So this swastika, the swastika.
But what I find
After
very
life is
interesting.
a benign blessing, rather inverted in its meaning. Sorry, Ram, I interrupted.
No, sorry, it's fine. I was the one who butted in. Suasti, you said asti meaning goodness, blessing, but
No, it just is being.
but
The su is the goodness, and so su
right.
asti you could very literally translate as well-being.
Okay.
So the goodness bit is in the su.
Asti also has a separate meaning, isn't it? Asti also means ashes, isn't it? When you cremate, what remains is asti, isn't it? Because that's commonly used as well. When you sprinkle the asti over Ganges and things like this, so that's it is also called asti, and the pot that holds the asti, it's an urn in English, is what you call asti kalash, the kalash, the pot that holds the asti. That's what you take and throw, or you spread the ash.
No, I'd never heard of that meaning of asti.
And then I was curious, and I was just checking in Monia Williams now for asti, and it says bone. It's even more confusing.
Ah,
It,
okay, okay. That is confusing to the young where there's asti with a
yeah.
t, not a th.
Without the H. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so asti.
Right.
Let me just my where's my iPad gone? Here we are. So asti is either the verb equals it is,
Right.
cognate with the Latin est, and in fact also cognate with modern German ist and the English
Ah,
is.
yes, yes. It makes
And
sense. It makes sense.
also,
Here comes the word from the asti is tatastu. I mean, so
yeah,
be it. Yeah,
yes,
understood. Yes.
tatastu. But the one meaning of bone is st with a t, the aspirate one. So it
Right.
would be written. So st
Mm,
as opposed to um, asti. So the differences between the t in asti
mm,
and the t in asti. In fact, the asti becomes ati in Pali, and it's the same word becomes haddi in modern Hindi. The haddi meaning a bone.
bone. Yeah.
Um, that is from asti. Let me just double check that I'm right about that. Whenever I get a slight surprise, or I always like to double check. Um, okay, yeah, I'm turning up here. So it's the st with the aspirated th
Mm.
there. Um, so
How does that
bone.
transform in Pali? This one, asti.
That actually becomes an ati, but with a retroflex to. So the what happens is in Pali, again I'm going to double check this as well. In Pali, so in Sanskrit, you get asti is becomes ati, the non-retroflex, the ordinary t. Whereas asti becomes, and I'm almost certain I'm right saying ati in Pali.
Wow.
But I'm just going to double check this form. Oops, here we go. Okay, just trying to find it in the. Here we are. Um, Here we are. Yeah, I've got the. This, so this. So the system sometimes does this to me with the Pali dictionary. Here we are. Oh, come on. Sometimes gives me a. Here we are. So a T, you see with the subdotted T,
Mm.
the da, a T
Ati.
from the Sanskrit asti. In fact, it's cognate with the Latin os, and osteopathy, isn't it? So, and the
Right.
osteopath is the person who fixes your bones. So it is that it is that same root. Do you use any derivative of asti, meaning bone, in Tamil?
Yes, but it's direct borrowing from Sanskrit,
Okay, so you say asti in
like to
okay,
like.
okay, right. Oh, by the way, an interesting, because in my meditation class in Manchester, we have a Tamil-speaking Sri Lankan with us, and I was explaining the word papancha, which in Sanskrit is prapancha. Now, the papancha meaning the proliferation. I mean, when your mind is on something and you produce thought after thought after thought. And it comes from the idea of fiving forth, because pancha means five, and pra means forth or out, the dynamic movement away or out. So the imagery is the closed fist. You think the closed fist is a single thing. The fiving forth, your thoughts proliferating, the prapancha, literally fiving forth. And I was explaining this word, and my good Tamil student, I asked him, I said, does this word because it exists in Tamil as well? He said, yes, it exists in the form purapanjam, which
Yep,
means creation, he said.
yep. Or universe, or rather.
The universe, the
Yes,
universe.
and your symbology the symbolism that you showed as well makes sense. Yeah, because if
Yeah,
you imagine pancha as a closed fist,
yes.
prapancha is as an expanding universe.
Yeah, exactly. So that I thought that was really fantastically beautiful
Yeah.
imagery there,
Mm,
because
yep.
in Hindu cosmogonies, the universe kind of is something that expands
Yeah.
out of the mind of God. So we can have our ordinary prapancha in our minds, just means thoughts proliferating all over the place, whereas the
Yeah.
purapanjam in Tamil, out of the mind of God is the actual creation of the universe. We
But
daydream, but when God daydreams, the universe comes into existence.
but I'm almost certain it's again not Tamil. This is a direct borrow from Sanskrit.
Oh, sure, yes, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's just very interesting that
Mm.
I haven't heard it used with that meaning in Pali or Sanskrit, but it was just in that's a particular meaning that has attached to it. It seems in Tamil.
It does appear in a lot of shlokas where deities are attributed as the protector of the universe, this and that, with Prapancha appearing in the titles. Yeah, so yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
that's new for me. This is pretty. I'm enjoying this more and more. Let me just. Oops. Um,
But but also, it looks like it's made its way in English as well. So if this is punch, the closed fist, then we have
yes,
to punch people as well. We do the same. I guess this is
that's
punch.
right. And and is it that same word because it's originally a Sanskrit word? And then
Yes,
that the drink that we have, the alcoholic
as well as
rum punch, because it had the five ingredients. It was in fact devised, was made up in India.
oh my goodness.
It was called the punch, which in the one Hindu punch, meaning five. The drink with the five ingredients. So here, I'm just looking at Prapancha and Manuel William expansion, development, manifestation, diversity, amplification, blah, blah, blah. Yes, in philosophy, the expansion of the universe, the visible world. There we are. All from the simple idea of the closed fist expanding.
I'll never look at a rum punch the same anymore.
Oh, um, just prapanchena, as in diffusely or in detail, rather than saying something succinctly, you explain it in great detail. Prapanchena. So thank you for that, Ram. I hadn't realized before that it was used in that way in Sanskrit. This has opened it up to me. So etena Satchena Suvati Hutu. Before we wind up, which we'll do soon, there's some word satcha, which we have, for example, in the Arya Satchani, the Noble Truths. We have it in, oops, keep using things on my screen. Well, it is Satcha in Pali and Satya in Sanskrit. It is, stop me if you know, do you know the origin, why the word is what it is? So I can explain to you. It's from that same root, as in asti, not this one, asti. We have the root as, meaning to be. In fact, there's another root as, which means to throw, but that's an entirely separate, just coincidentally the same. And remember, it's not the same as the root as with a long a, which means to sit. And that's where we get the asanas of yoga, which literally the sittings, the postures. This is as, to be. And it's cognate with the Latin word esse, to be. And you get asti, it is, which is directly cognate with the Latin word est, is. And in modern French, written the same, but pronounced il est, he, she, it is. And in Spanish, it's es. Now, by a peculiar irregularity, when you get to the plural of it in Sanskrit, the initial you would normally have expected to see asanti, but by an irregularity, the first vowel drops off. That's where you get santi, meaning they are. Not asanti, which would be regular, but just santi. And that santi is directly cognate with the Latin word sunt, meaning they are. And it turns up in modern French as sont, ils sont, that they are. So by this entertaining quirk of historical linguistics, you get this irregularity in the verb displayed in Sanskrit, and by instead of asanti santi, that same irregularity you see directly occurring in Latin as well. You'd have expected to see sunt, they are, but it's not. The first vowel drops off and it becomes sunt. So that accounts for they are is santi. Now, to make the present participle, take the third person plural, santi, drop off the e, and that gives you the stem of the present participle. San, sat, sant, santam, asantam, and so on. The neuter form of it is just sat. So sat is the neuter present participle of the verb to be. Asat, that which is not, the unreal. Asato ma sadgamaya. So from the asat, lead us to the sat. From the unreal, lead us to the real. From the untrue, lead us to the true. That's that sat there. But a derivative noun, then you can add a ya. You can make these derivative nouns either by adding a ya or a ya, which we've just seen earlier, vidya. You also have a short ya. So satya is that which is. And by extension, it means truth. So that's how you get satya, meaning truth. So the basic meaning of it is just that which truly is. Where does that chant appear? Do you know, Ram? Asatoma Sadgamaya. It's in one of
Yeah,
the Upanishads, I think.
yeah, I don't know where it is, but yeah, I know the chant too.
Yeah.
Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityoma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti
Yeah,
Shanti. So you chant it when you finish all the big things, big other chants as a Mangalam at the very end.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's one of the most beautiful chants, the Asatoma Sadgamaya.
Yeah.
And Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya,
Jyotir.
from the darkness lead us to the light. Mrityorma Mritangamaya, from death lead me to the Amrita, to immortality.
Yeah.
Okay, we're just on 9:15. So before we wind up, then, were there any particular queries arising out of this verse? So let me just call up the verse again. Keep losing my place. There we are. By the way, this is just the regular instrumental form. Etena sapchena suvati. To by this truth may there be suvati. In Sanskrit, that would be etena satyena swastir bhavatu. Etena satyena swastir bhavatu. Okay, there we are. We've come to 9:15. I just thank you kindly for joining me and for listening to me gassing on all this time.
Thank you so much, James.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you in particular, Ram, for these other bits of Sanskrit that you've given to me here. I find it
No,
very helpful in interaction here.
I can't thank you enough, James. It was a beautiful session. Really, really, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
lovely.
so much.
Yeah, very
Okay,
special.
so
Really.
thank you all so much for joining
Thank you.
me, and see you on a future
Thank you,
occasion, I
James.
hope.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Have
you
a
then.
fantastic time, James. Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Thank you
see you,
then.
Rosemary. Yeah,
Bye.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.